Okay, so the final FA Cup quarter-final between Manchester United and Liverpool has not disappointed in any way, shape or form. It went to extra time. There's 7 goals in the game. There's a sending off in the game. And both sides had opportunities to win it in 90 minutes. This was a very open game. Neither side really knew how to defend properly. The amount of shots and chances being created by both teams shows how open the game was. Manchester United do concede a lot of opportunities to their opposition. They are a very open team defensively. Liverpool, they are beset by injuries. This was the strongest Liverpool side I think Jurgen Klopp could have put on the field for this game. And I think it was one of the strongest Man United sides that Ten Hag could have put on the field for this game. There was a lot of players out for both sides. I think both goalkeepers have had really good games considering the scoreline of 4-3. Keller has obviously had a run in the side because Alisson is injured. Onana, he gets regularly hammered and criticised on social media and in the mainstream media for some of his errors that he's had. If this is Onana when he first signs for Man United, Liverpool win this game by a significant margin. He looked very, very confident this evening. So Manchester United have walked away with a 4-3 win after extra time. However, there was a period where Manchester United just were treading water until the second half substitutes. They really fell away quite ridiculously quickly. After about 25 minutes, they were struggling to keep up with the pace of the game that they had decided to start with. So let's break the game down. There's a lot of goals in here. McTominay scores his goal on 10 minutes. That's great support play. He wins that second ball. It's a great save by Kelleher, to be fair, but McTominay is in the right place at the right time. Liverpool defensively switch off and allow him a lot of space in the box, and that's a tap in for McTominay. He's started to pick up some goal scoring. He has been criticised at times during his Manchester United career, but he had a fantastic game today. That was on 10 minutes. Now, for the first 20 or so minutes, it was Manchester United's game. They were controlling the pace and tempo. Liverpool weren't really settled into it. Manchester United did come out like a freight train. They started to flag, however, as the first half went on. At around 25-30 minutes, they were starting to feel the pace of the game. They hadn't paced themselves, and Liverpool were just now creating chance after chance after chance. Onana is having to, well, he's the busier of the two goalkeepers at this point now. Endo has a goal ruled offside on 37 minutes. And when we go to VAR, I always say this, and as a neutral in this game, I have no fish in this pond, but when you've got to draw lines on a TV screen or a computer monitor, and we're talking less than a foot in it, I mean, that's not clear and obvious. That's borderline. 6-7 years ago, that goal would have stood, but here's the thing. The linesman is flagged before it's gone up to VAR, so if the linesman didn't flag like 7 years ago, that goal stands. In the modern day, he's flagged. It has to be checked because the whistle's gone after the ball's in the back of the net. We're talking half a foot with a shoulder. You cannot score with your arm. So how an arm can have an impact on play. This is where I think VAR and offside laws need to be looked at. You cannot score with your hand. You cannot score with your arm. It's a part of the body you cannot score with. So how does that count as offside? But under the letter of the law, it is a correct decision. Whether we agree with how you're drawing lines and looking very minutely at things, it currently is offside. But that, I think, is an area that FIFA and the governing bodies need to look at. Not introducing blue cards, because I think the referee had a good game. I think when players show dissent, book them. They continue to show us dissent, book them again. Start sending players off. You don't need blue cards, but that's my view on that. But McAllister gets his goal and Liverpool back in the game on 44 minutes. They had been pressurising for quite some time. They've just had a goal ruled off for offside. McAllister, fantastic finish. He's I think he's an underrated player. I really do. I think Brighton do miss him from their midfield. He was instrumental in how Brighton played. When he was there under Potter and later on under De Zerbi. I think he's a great addition to the Liverpool setup. He brings something different. He's well rewarded with his goal. He's a high energy player. You need players that are willing to go box to box and work hard for the team with and without the ball. I think he deserves his goal. Mo Salah. Mo Salah does get criticised occasionally for not tracking back enough. Sometimes goal hanging. Sometimes not doing enough off the ball. He was a bit quiet off the ball today, But his goal, I mean, look, that's a poacher's finish. He is an out-and-out poacher. He's an out-and-out goal scorer. He's one of the best goal scorers in the Premier League. And that swung the game. So there's between 37 minutes and just after 45 minutes, there's a 10-minute spell where Liverpool swing the game, where they've been showing signs that they're now dominant with possession and chances created, but they're still 1-0. It's now 2-1. It changes the half-time team talk. Second half continues much in the vein at the end of the first half. Liverpool with all the possession and all the chances. And Manchester United are treading water. Liverpool are not taking advantage of all their possession, all their chances they are creating. And then the substitutions. And I think this is where I think Klopp's got it a little bit wrong. And Ten Hag's possibly got it right. Now, Anthony, again, another player regularly criticised on social media and by the mainstream media and by the fan base of Manchester United and other fan bases just for some of his uselessness. He's not consistent enough for what they paid for him, what they're paying him. It's only his second goal all season. So he doesn't contribute enough goal scoring wise and creativity wise. He has some flashy skills but does it in the wrong areas. Today, not the case. He actually stuck to a game plan. His goal in 86 minutes completely changes the dynamic of the cup tie because Liverpool had so much possession for so long, and then it was the substitution period where I think Manchester United got their changes right. People may be criticising putting Maguire on and alternating how that back four or back five operated. By the end of the game, Fernandes is playing in the defensive line. That just shows how desperate Ten Hag was and how the formation was all over the place. But Liverpool wasted opportunities. Manchester United stick in the game. Anthony scores the goal. We're going to extra time. And the extra time was much like this, but it was so open. Neither side basically knew how to defend anymore. And when you've got out-and-out centre-backs on the field like Van Dijk and Maguire, who are very defensively minded players, even though people can slate Maguire for some of his errors and some of his poor performances and his lopsided form, which is not very consistent. When you've got defensive players on the field like that and managers are making defensive changes and as well as attacking changes, you expect some kind of defensive stability. There was none. I mean, this game really opened up. Some sloppy play by both sides. The fact that both teams were still running well into the second half of extra time tells you a lot about the fitness of both sides. Though Manchester United at times did look a little bit out of puff and they were treading water. They needed that equalising goal in normal time, I think, to re-energise them a little bit. Rashford's missed a couple of chances, which Rashford a couple of years ago, they probably are scored. Rashford, when he's young, probably scores them. But he does get his goal later on. Harvey Elliott gets a goal. Slight deflection, but it's a speculator. But the game has opened up. There is no pressure around him. Eriksen and Maguire are far too deep. They've allowed him a lot of space and he's allowed to get the shot off. It deflects off Eriksen through Maguire's legs and past Onana. That's on 104 minutes. And the game is now swung to Liverpool again. But neither side could shut down the game. It was very refreshing actually to watch both sides just go at it until the final whistle, with neither side trying to go in the corner and slow the play down. It was refreshing that both sides just went full throttle at this for 2 hours. Then it's 3-2 at the end of the first half of extra time. Second half of extra time, Rashford scores the equaliser on 112 minutes. So Liverpool's lead is brief. Finally, he gets one of those shots on target. He's had flashes. This is one of Rashford's better performances. Again, a player who's been regularly criticised lately with inconsistencies in his game and inconsistent form. He does pop up with some goals at key times, however. But Manchester United's season's been very inconsistent. In fact, the whole Ten Hag era has been very inconsistent. But Rashford, that goal just sparks United back into life. And then A.E.T, right with basically the final kick of the game. It's a breakaway. Liverpool have a corner. Instead of just keeping it in the corner and just going for the shootout and playing safe, they try to get expansive. Play breaks down. They just rush up the other end. Garnacho's had a fantastic game. He never stopped running. He passes it to Amad Diallo, who slots it past Kelleher with a slightly mishit shot, I think. If that's purely hit, I think Kelleher saves that or he hits the post, but it's slightly mishit. Deceives Kelleher a little bit. You would probably say he would like to do better with that and deal with that better. And it's in off the post. And that is basically with the final kick of the game. He's already been booked in the game. He takes his shirt off. He gets sent off. So United don't finish the game with a full complement of players. I don't think they care. I think this has relieved some of the pressure on Ten Hag. Some. But if they, let's say, lose the semi-final and get no silverware this season, then this result counts for nothing. Even though with the history of the rivalry between not only the two clubs but two cities, with a variety of things from sport to culture to industry to population centres to university, everything you can think of. While this result I think has eased the pressure on Ten Hag, I don't think he's fully out of being under that microscope. If, let's say, league form drops off, that could prove an issue. The team did look tired at the end. There were periods where they didn't pace themselves very well. At Liverpool, I mean, look, they're running out of fit players, aren't they? Much has been said of Liverpool's injury issues this season and the squad depth being tested this season. There are a lot of players out for both sides. And that's something else that I think the FA, the Premier League and the Football League should be looking at is squad sizes, because I remember back in the day you had reserves. You had a full reserve squad and it was next man up mentality. Now you have a limited Premier League squad, a limited FA Cup squad and a limited European squad, and you don't really have the traditional reserves anymore because squad sizes are now capped. I think that's something the footballing authorities could look at. They're quite happy to fiddle with the amount of substitutions and bring in silly rules. Player welfare's got to take precedence at some point because some of these players, while there were no injuries tonight, that I think, which was good, you look at the amount of injuries and the percentage of injuries per season going up. There needs to be some studies done with that. But as a neutral, fantastic game. We've seen some thrillers in the FA Cup this season. I think the atmosphere was fantastic. Liverpool travelled well. I think they easily sold out their allocation. If they could have sold more tickets, they would. So it was great to hear Old Trafford with atmosphere, which has sometimes been lacking this season with how the team's been playing and what's happening off the field, and a lot of speculation about the manager and certain players. But they put a shift in today, as did Liverpool. I think both sides were out on their feet. I think Liverpool will be frustrated that when they were on top, they didn't put the game to bed. And as I say, Onana, 6 months ago, doesn't make some of those saves. Kelleher, he's now had a run in the Liverpool team. I think he's an underrated goalkeeper. But Kelleher, last season, for example, may not have made those saves because he wasn't getting the game time. So I think both keepers played well. But tactically, both sides were so open. This was not a game of good defensive quality. This was a very open end-to-end cup tie, which was basically more of attack rather than defence. It was refreshing to see both sides go for it until right to the final whistle. So there we go. Thank you very much for watching. Place your thoughts on the game in the comment section below. And do excuse my voice and the flu virus that I have. I do apologise that I'm not at my best. But from me for now, thank you very much for watching. And I'll have some more content for you guys next week, which I think is obviously Monday. So on the 18th. And for me for now, it is goodbye.